Hey everybody, Mags here. We are going to review some of the hints and tips that we've been given this year on the Dynasty Hotseat. If you are new here, do me a favor, can you like, comment, share on this video for me, please, like you can see here. And then also, if you're new here, why not hit that subscribe button too? It really helps out. Right, on to the hints and tips.
Yeah, I really think that it's just like any other game that you play, whether you're playing for money or pride or just simple bragging rights. If you just want to be able to talk smack to your friends, Dynasty is the best way to be able to do that year round with the game of football. It is kind of like the stock market where you're dealing in values and trading quite a bit. But at the very end of the day, you're competing against people. You're competing against usually 11 to 13 other people who with like minds. They want to beat you. And so understanding game theory, understanding how to break down data and find edges in every little thing that you do. Every transaction has to make your team better. And that's usually what I focus on. Is if I'm making a waiver claim or if I'm making a trade offer, I'm asking myself each time, does this make my team better? And that's really, I mean, it comes down to each thing's going to have its own little flair and nuance to it. But I'm always looking to build that iron chest, as my friend Chalk calls it.
Nice, yeah, I like that about an iron chest. Where one of the best things is it's kind of like a double-edged sword. Once you kind of lock that down, where you might see someone appear in the waivers, you're like, I don't know. Like, even though it's a really good player, it's like I can't get rid of any of these guys. You want to get to that moment where you have to make hard decisions and tough decisions, especially with your waiver wire. So yeah, I like that. Just think carefully. Like, is this making anyone better? The worst thing you can see sometimes is you drop a guy to pick up someone else, and then the next day someone else has snapped up that guy. And you're like, what have I done? Why? What did I know that
Yeah.
I don't know? Like, so yeah, do your research and try and build that. What do you call it? An iron chest.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's just, it comes down to that's your cachet. That's what you hold all the value that you're trying to build into a winner every year. And that's the kind of thing. Is I don't like all out rebuilds. I'm not going to try to trust the process like the Philadelphia 76ers did, where I take 3 years to put something back together. I've turned orphans that looked horrible, had no draft picks for 2 years, around in a year and a half, to where now I'm competing to win that championship, because I'm making the farther you have to go. If you're looking at your roster and this really stinks, then I'm going to just try to make more of those meaningful moves in a shorter amount of time. It's condensed. The worse my team is when I put it together, or the worse my fortune is with the injury bug or otherwise. Some guys just don't play very well. Being able to think on your feet and make more meaningful transactions in a shorter amount of time, the worse your team is, that I think that pays off in a huge form, because you can go year round and not do anything with your team. Like, if I'm happy with a team, I don't look at it very often. I'll just check the score on Sunday and be the really happy again, or be like, okay, I need to make the little tweaks here. But for a bad team, I'm on that team every day, multiple times, trying to make deals, always trying to just kind of carve off or sand off the rough edges, so to speak.
Yeah, 100%. You got to put the work in, right? You get what you get out, right? You can't make a team better just by crossing your fingers and trusting the process, like you said. You got to put a shift in, right? So I love that as a first tip. But what else you got for us?
It really comes down to knowing your competition. Again, I said game theory. It's like understanding how your league mates tick. Dynasty is really unique in that name value matters more than ever before in Dynasty. You can get extra value or less value based on the recognition and the notoriety of a player. And if I know that my league mate is a diehard Raiders fan, and he would pay more for Josh Jacobs than the other guy who needs Josh Jacobs, I'm going to pit them up against one another. I'm going to use my league mates and use psychology to just get better value in the deals that I make. It's just, the Dynasty is more psychological than you think, because you're trying to get inside and squeeze every bit of juice out of that lemon.
Yeah, absolutely. It's something that friend of the show, Murph, who's sitting actually top of the Hall of Fame charts there, Murph. over from the UK, absolute legend. He always
yes,
describes Dynasty as so he describes redraft as playing checkers, but Dynasty's playing chess. Right? It's a different.
it's accurate, and I do
Yeah,
love Murph. I've known Murph for 3 years now, and he's a legend. And whether it's
absolutely.
UK or here abroad, when he was in Florida, we're talking. Everybody knows who Murph is. If you know Dynasty and you know football in general on the fantasy side, Murph is one of the best. He was in
Yeah,
my
absolutely.
Scott Fishbowl 10 league.
Ooh, tough competition. Yeah, lovely. So yeah, I love that as a second tip there. So brilliant advice. And have you got a third and final tip for us as well?
Yeah, that's the one last thing that I want to cover as part of kind of like a general guide is don't fall in love. It's still football. It's still chaos. As soon as we kick off
Yeah,
on Thursday night, something's gonna happen. Yeah, I don't know what it is. Nobody knows what it is, but something's gonna happen in that Rams and Bills game that's going to tilt a good portion of the fantasy football players out there, whether they're playing
yeah,
DFS or redraft or dynasty or guillotine. You're playing all these different forms of fantasy football. That first game, I'd say by the time we hit halftime and they're talking about it, everybody on Twitter is going to be ablaze with like, oh no, what do we do now? And
yeah,
that's kind of that. Just don't fall in love with the name or the player, because they're still just assets. Like for the game that
yeah,
we play, a fake game about a sport where guys play in spandex. I mean, we're talking about the variables are so infinite
yeah.
that if you fall in love, you're going to get stuck and then you're going to get screwed.
Yeah, exactly. Can you imagine how much fantasy football Twitter would blow up if like Gabe Davis blew out his knee on like the first snap?
It could be anybody,
Right?
and because of the consequential nature of these two Super Bowl contending teams this year,
Yeah.
anybody that goes down in the first week is going to send everyone into a tizzy, and it's going to happen every year. Every week, we're going to see a monumental injury, or just teams not meeting expectations, or teams exceeding expectations by
Yeah.
a great measure. Since all we can do is deal in probabilities, I mean, just all you just try to maximize your odds of success, and that's really
Yeah.
the whole dynasty game is just trying to increase your odds from 1 out of 12 to something slightly higher.
Yeah, exactly. No, I love that as a tip, just to kind of stay calm, composed, to remember. Yeah, these are actually real people out there running about, and there's real risk and real damages. So don't get too attached, or you could get hurt. So thank you so much for watching today's video. Remember, like this video, leave a comment if you want, and subscribe to the channel. These videos are going to be coming thick and fast, so you don't want to miss anything. So that's it for today. In the meantime, keep your teams lit. We'll see you next time.